Hi guys. This group of dreams I'm going to call Spiritual Darkness on Earth. It's September 5th, 2014. The first dream I had, I was walking around town and the dream was in black and white. Everyone walked around with their head down and no one looked up or really talked to each other. It was like there was no life. I thought it must be hell. People were still going into stores like usual, but it was like they were dead inside. Two different cars went by with a person sitting on the top back seat in a convertible, like in a parade, but no one looked at them or cared. It was like that's what they wanted on Earth, the attention, so that's what they're getting now, but they're not really getting it because nobody really cared and nobody was really paying attention. But I was there and I felt alive inside like I do now. And a young woman came up to me and said that everyone is here together, the souls suffering, being punished, and the ones who are not. So I thought, we must all suffer internally. It's a mental thing. But then when I woke up, I thought maybe this wasn't hell, but the tribulation. Hell must be much worse. And then the next dream I had, I was in the small hometown I grew up in, and I was driving home, and it was around 6 p.m. and the sun hadn't set yet. I felt an anxiousness that I should get home quickly and off the street. This is unusual for this town because there is never any crime there. A car came towards me, a convertible. A man was driving and a woman was in the back seat. I felt in my heart that this was a warning that the Lord had given to a messenger about what was about to happen regarding demons trying to take away all our cash. But I just want to say, this isn't a real warning from a messenger. That was just a warning from a messenger that was in my dream. And so then back to the dream. Then their car stopped in the middle of the road, and so I got out my wallet because I didn't want any trouble with them, and I just wanted to get home. The woman said she was from a foreign country and just needed money to get back home. I gave her a $5 bill. She had an envelope with lots of 5s, 10s, and 20s, so apparently she had been getting a lot from people. I knew they were demons. I quickly drove home, and when I got home, a friend of my daughter's was there. He was looking out the window and said he had seen them earlier doing that. And then the next dream, I was walking around with my best friend, and we saw what looked like some kind of festival. Actually, it was a church camp, but it was open to the public, and it was for kids and adults. The people were very welcoming. They had different biblical plays going on all day, and they had very organized team sports with uniforms, cheerleading, and all kinds of activities. Eventually my friend left, and I stayed there. They had a bus to take you back further into the camp, so I went on it. When I got to the other section, I could see that this section was completely different. There were rows and rows of tents set up. It looked like a prison camp. In one tent, I saw a woman sitting on the ground with 7 babies of various ages, but they were all babies lined up in a row. The people were trapped, and kids were dying and disappearing. Somehow I was able to sneak out, but the whole thing seemed like it was just to lure people in, the good part of it, and then trap them. And then later I had another part to this dream. There was a building in the camp, and they were setting up a fancy dinner for some of the kids. Maybe it was the wealthy families who paid a lot of money or were Illuminati members. All the children were dressed in red plaid, and the little girls had red plaid bows in their hair. All the decorations were also red plaid. In another part of the room there was a fireplace, and a fancy dinner was set up for the adults. All the decorations were red plaid as well. It was like it was a facade to keep up appearances with all the other bad things happening in the rest of the camp. And then another dream I had, I was in an open market, kind of an indoor-outdoor type of thing, but there was also a school there. A few people were looking at produce. The principal asked me how old my son was, so I told him. Suddenly my teenage son ran in wearing some sort of uniform, like a modern-day superhero costume, and even his face was covered, but I knew it was him. He shouted, "Everyone to the temple!" There was a temple next door. Most people had already gone over there. Most people were already there, but a few people were still in the area where I was. The principal was standing right next to me, and he had a very large shotgun which he cocked. I've never seen a shotgun like this before. It was huge. Some people quickly ran out, but I was trapped on the other side of him. He shouted, "No, we have to," and he said something, but I can't remember what he said. He said, "We have to do something." But not obeying the call to the temple was like being in heaven and not obeying God. It was very serious. I thought, I'm not going to let this guy stand in my way of getting to God. Somehow, I was able to sneak out. Instead of going to the temple, I went to get help. I walked past several empty buildings till I saw two women walking by and asked to borrow a cell phone. As I was calling for help, I woke up. Then another dream I had, I was walking around town, and all of a sudden everyone was gone. It was desolate, and the dream was in black and white. There was an evil man with a red beard who was taking over the world. Finally, I saw I saw a man and told him I was scared to go home. He said I could go to his house and that him and his family lived nearby. And when I got there, I saw his two little girls, and I was worried about my own family. Then another dream I had, I was at a baseball game at a park with my mom and my dog. We were sitting in the second row of the bleachers. I turned around and saw a man with dark hair and a beard. Then it turned into a vision. The same man was standing up on one of the top rows of the bleachers. His hair and beard were white, and he had 3 light blue eyes. The third eye was between his other 2 eyes. He said, "Some people were born to be in the world at this time because they can see things." He glanced at me as he was talking. I was going to say something, but then that part of the dream ended, and I was recalling the vision as we were walking back to the car. So this was a vision within a dream. And then the next dream I had, I was at a university campus and began having an awake vision of immigrant cafeteria workers wanting the food for themselves, so they revolted against the students. People were running. It was very scary. People were shouting curse words. A student who knew I was having a vision, was really sweet and said, "It will be okay," and got me some paper to write the vision on. So this was a vision within a dream, another vision within a dream. And then another dream I had, I and my family were living in an apartment in a really bad part of town. As I was getting up to lock the door, I noticed 2 guys crossing the street coming towards the apartment. I locked the deadbolt and they saw me through the window, so I hid behind a wall. Then they started trying to unlock the door. I heard them trying keys and I was really scared, but thinking the Lord will protect me. My heart was racing, so I forced myself to wake up. In the next dream, there were huge fires in the small town near the city I live in. People had to evacuate in that town, and the fires were getting close to us. I was interviewed on 2 different TV stations through Skype. The heat and smoke were so bad in my area that it was ruining all kinds of paper, wedding invitations, photo paper, books, any kind of paper. The paper was starting to curl up. Another dream, I was in a house, then I went outside. It was getting dark and I was supposed to walk down the street in the neighborhood. It kept getting darker and darker. I could feel the evil. When I got to the end of the street, I could just see a small light through one house window. But the atmosphere was just so dark and so evil that I rushed back to the house and went inside. Another dream, I was at the house I grew up in on the front porch about to water the plants when I started noticing how dark it was getting outside. This was around noon, so I went inside. Another dream I had, there was a road with many lanes of traffic, and cars were intentionally pushing each other out of lanes. It was extreme road rage. Then another dream, I was at a cafeteria, and everyone there was eating boxes of freeze-dried food. It came in different entrees, and Jesus was coming very soon in this dream. And the last dream, I saw a clock tower, and the time was 11:55. That's all I have for now. Thanks for listening, everybody. Praise Jesus. Stay in prayer. He's coming very, very soon. Thank you.